Hi there, boys and girls. Say, I'm your Uncle Johnny Coons, your storytelling uncle. You remember me? I'm the fellow that you see on TV, Uncle Johnny, and we'll have a lot of fun, you and me. Yes, sir, I've a story that is true. Listen to Uncle Johnny. Yes, sirree. I'm inventing all the time. That's why I'm Uncle Johnny. My inventions brought me fame, by the way. I invent most anything while I sing Uncle Johnny every day. Now, if my inventions laid end to end, whoo, there are so many, they would extend from the coast of Maine out to Albuquerque, but they never, ever work. No! But if you like your stories tall, simply call Uncle Johnny, and I'll tell a few as tall as can be. I'm the fellow that you see on TV, your Uncle Johnny. Yes, sirree. Yes, sir. Well, now about that story I promised you. It's all about a friend of mine called Snappy. Now, all this started about the time that I discovered I had mice in my kitchen. And by golly, they sure were pesky. I'd be sitting in my living room reading my paper when suddenly I'd hear my front door open and close, and a moment later those mice would sneak up the stairs one at a time, very cautiously, and then they'd get into the kitchen and they'd open the icebox door, and a moment later they'd begin cutting themselves a slice of my very best cheese. And when they had enough, all they'd do is just slam the icebox door, and then they'd run scampering away with that cheese. Well, now I decided I'd put a stop to that. So I set my mind to work, and since I'm a very expert inventor, I have been for 98.5 years, I very quickly invented an automatic mousetrap. Well, it was a wonderful invention, even if I do say so. It was complete with radar, jet propulsion, two-way radio, and even a television antenna. And the whole thing worked on a wind-up motor that ran just as nice as clockwork and just as accurate, too. And it had a gate that opened up just as wide as a cave, leading straight into the inside, where a great big piece of cheese was waiting as bait. And if a mouse were to step inside to get that cheese, the gate would slam shut with a crash, trapping that mouse inside. Well, at least that's the way it was supposed to work. Anyway, I rolled Snappy, that's what I called him, up to the very first mouse hole that I saw, and I got him all set to work. I wound him up good and tight, and then I placed a piece of cheese inside his bait, and then I said, "Snappy, my boy, go to work," and I backed off to watch. Well, sir, pretty soon, along came a mouse. Oh, but say, if you want to find out what happened, you better turn this record over. Go on, go ahead. Well, here I am back again to tell you what happened to Snappy, my automatic mousetrap. You remember, Snappy was waiting all set to catch the very first mouse that came along. Well, sir, like I said, a mouse did come along. He sneaked right up to Snappy, stepped inside the gate, took the cheese, and then ran scampering away. Just as Snappy slammed his gate, missing that mouse by a good 10 1/4 feet. Well, Snappy was mighty disappointed, and so was I. I thought, well, maybe it isn't his fault. Maybe I should make a few adjustments in his works. So I set to work. First off, I gave him a good oiling so he wouldn't squeak. And then I added a few more parts, like a bell to scare off the mice, and an automobile horn to make them think that they were going to be run over, and even a train whistle to make them think that a train was coming after them. Well, sir, you'd think that all those fine additions would have helped. But somehow Snappy still couldn't manage to catch a mouse. No, not a one. He must have tried at least 10 times a day. But every time those mice got hold of the cheese and Snappy would slam his gate, it was always too late and the mice would run scampering away. And as they ran, they'd add insult to injury and laugh at poor Snappy. Well, I was losing more cheese every day, and I finally had a man-to-mousetrap talk with Snappy. "Snappy, my boy," I said to him, "you're a failure. And if you don't get rid of those mice, I'm going to have to turn you into a can opener. So Snappy sighed very sadly and dragged himself off into a corner to wait for another mouse to come along. Well, he didn't have very long to wait. Up came another mouse, and this one was the granddaddy of all mice. Well, I figured this was the end of my cheese, but at the very same time, I could see that Snappy was getting ready for the fight of his life. He drew himself up anxiously and waited, all set for battle. And then as the mouse got right in front of him, Snappy went into action. Lights flashed, his antenna wiggled, his radar screen pipped, and all at once Snappy rang his bell, blew his horn, and tooted his train whistle all at the same time. And they got louder and louder until suddenly Snappy blew a fuse. And the noise sounded just like this. Well, when the mouse heard that, he whirled about on the spot, and a moment later, he and all of his relatives went scampering out of my house. And I never saw hide nor hair of them again. And that's how Snappy made good as a mousetrap. Pretty clever, huh? Anyhow, that's exactly how it happened. Well, so long, boys and girls. See you later.